loose. Back in my bathroom, back in the bathroom, back in the bathroom. I do my best thinking. I've been doing a lot of thinking about actual stuff rather than just, getting into my head about silly things that don't really matter or creating problems out of nothing. But I was reminded of something yesterday. I'd gone to hear a talk, a breakfast meeting of somebody that I've seen they're a photographer actually. I'd been following a bit on Facebook during COVID. Anyway, I was interested to hear this person's story. And it was very humbling, very honest, very brave content actually. But afterwards there was a sort of Q&A, and somebody had said, and I can't remember if it was phrased as a question or a statement or just putting it out there. Everyone seems really angry at the moment. You on social media, and it might have been in relation, in terms of where I live, to a recent election, but of course you see that globally, of course, with everything that's going on. Everyone's got something to say, and not always good, worryingly so. And it was actually for that reason during COVID, or one of the reasons, I really shied away from Facebook. And even now, having watched actually The Social Dilemma, if you've not seen that, I'd recommend a watch. I'm not comfortable that I can set my own rules for it. It's an unregulated platform, and the things that are seemingly fun, who's going to have a baby in July, who's going to get lots of money next year, and look at, statements and memes, it's all there to keep you on your phone. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use Facebook, and this is just my opinion, then I want to feel comfortable that it has integrity. There is this whole issue of engagement and just keeping people on their devices for no apparent reason, but they're also so dangerous when people have a platform to vent, which come up in comments on when we have media briefings, memes, grandiose statements, and in all fairness, or in my opinion, some of these things that everyone is angry about, you can't surmise in a statement. They're complicated issues around social structures, hierarchies, how the world works. And at the root of it, we're all human beings, and bloody hell, some of the comments about other people, or I read something recently, somebody felt they had to defend themselves against trolling because, and if you watch the social media, A Social Dilemma, the intention when these platforms were created were for connection. And I probably talked about this before, I feel very unconnected through those platforms. My connections, I would rather be with people, face to face, on the telephone. WhatsApp, it's easier to have little groups for organising stuff sometimes, but actually, go and see the people that I want to spend time with. And so I've lost my train of thought. I haven't sat and chatted about this stuff for a while, and so herein lies the thing. Somebody yesterday, I'd gone to this talk, which was fascinating, and I'd come away inspired by it, because as much as I've shied back from Facebook, and for this person, this other guy in the audience, as it were, saying, everyone seems very angry. I was like, yeah, everyone does feel really angry. I felt angry at one point and had a little rant on Facebook. But this is to my friends. You don't want to read that from me. If I've got any issues or problems, then I'll talk directly to my friends. It's the wrong platform. And having read watch The Social Dilemma, I realised we have to self-regulate. It's not like telly where there's a watershed or anything like that. The intention of these platforms is to keep you on them for as long as possible at whatever cost. And therein lies the conflict, because for them it's about trading and making money, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I thought, God, if the perception is that everyone is really angry, and I've come here to hear this kind of come away feeling inspired, where's the good stuff? You know, I do feel a sense of responsibility for myself first and foremost, but if everyone is out there shouting and ranting, then there should be some light beacons out there too. Oh God, and I know the sun's hitting quite nicely, I'm not claiming myself as a beacon of light, but I was reminded and inspired that it is still important, in my opinion, to be out there, because doing nothing, and this has sort of weighed quite heavy on me recently, that I've since, and I spoke about this, 18 months ago when I started a YouTube channel, and there's very little content on there, but there's some, about my journey leaving corporate environment to work for myself. And I'd set these 3 goals because I wanted a happier, more inspired, more fulfilling life. And setting up a business, in reality, to the degree that I do, I mean, I work from my kitchen at home. I've got a little program app that I use for accounts. It's not rocket science. That bit was the easy bit. The difficult bit was all the kind of lifey personal development that I had not anticipated, which has kind of floored me actually. There's been a roller coaster of stuff that I'd kind of gone through, but I have spent, and I'm not an expert, I can only talk about my experience, but I read, watch, listen to a lot of experts, quite a lot of psychology ones, and whether it's about religion, spirituality, consciousness, social structures, the complicated things that I referred to before. And I can't, sometimes if I'm listening to a podcast, I've got to pause it and Google the words to understand the translations. You know, I try and have a better understanding of grammar and the right words to use sometimes. You know, we use these grandiose words and they're kind of, there's another one, Russell Brand, thanks. Without the proper context and meaning. And it's probably down to personal perception, but if you're going to do it, then, you know, try and do it right. But I have spent a long time looking at the things that would have brought, would have enabled me, or enabled this life to be happy, inspired and fulfilled. Now the inspired bit, there's inspiration everywhere if you just look for it. And because I now work for myself, my time is much more fluid. I have the time to seek out inspiration if I feel so inclined. And it's there, here, there and everywhere. Fulfillment in, people hug me in this job. When I've delivered cakes to people and they've gone, oh, thank you so, what's the word? I can't, you know the one, but literally just, thank you so much. God, wow, you're very welcome. What job does that? But the one that I'd underestimated was the happiness, and I probably, on reflection, used the wrong word, because I'd said happiness, which in my understanding now is a sort of short term, oh, I've got this, I'm so happy, rather than what I actually was seeking, without realising, was a more joyful life that is just underpinned by joy. Given that, and here's the kicker, because life is a bitch. It's a struggle, because the reality is we start and we finish, and that is inevitable. Pretty tragic, isn't it? So the bit in between, blimmin' heck, we just got to make the most of it. Yeah, we've just got to make the most of it. Well, I don't know from it. So I had beagle called Jeremy. And if you've listened to my other videos, then you'll have heard him woofing and doing his thing. Anyway, he got old, he got sick. And if you'd asked me when we got him, oh, you know, dogs don't... Jeremy's going to last forever. Of course he is. Which is fundamentally wrong. He never was going to. But the work, the personal stuff that I've done over time has meant poor Jeremy has passed on a couple of weeks ago. And you could go, I was feeling very low about it last week, but the things that keep me going and keep me positive, because it was going to happen. Dog's life is shorter, without sounding really harsh, and I could sit there and, you know, weep for the day that was going to come, instead of living. If you'd asked Jeremy, and you know he was very close to being able to talk, he's a very clever dog. Have you had a good day? Have you had a good life? Every day, yep, lived my best life. And so I take a lot of peace in that. Now I'm sad now because it's quiet. There are little snippets that I miss. But you know, if I'm driving in the car shopping, oh, I miss Jeremy. Well, Jeremy was never in the car with me when I went shopping. So that, you know, I'm much more self-aware of this kind of stuff. And so look, the reason why I set up the channel was to share the things I learned, the things that I thought were useful, and I backed off from it because it seemed when everyone else is angry, and I was reminded of this yesterday, it is still important that there are some, there is some light out there, but on a platform dispensed in a way that is not, or still has integrity, I think, I hope. You decide. There was a thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah. Where do you start? As I said, I've spent, since I handed in, it was February 2019, I'd handed in my notice with this, at the start of this journey for happiness, fulfillment, inspiration. And it has been a roller coaster, and there's been a lot that has passed over that time. And I get to a point now, I was like, oh God, there's so much in my head that I think is useful to you, I don't know. But the one thing in amongst all of this, when there's a lot, is where do you start? Where do you start? And there's a guy that I follow. In fact, I've gone back to an older series of lectures of his, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who's a clinical psychologist. He was a lecturer at Toronto University. He came, his career segued into a sort of, he segued into the media for whatever reason, you can Google it, but he is an intellect, he's a thinker, and I'm interested in the things he has to say, and a lot of it goes back, way back, to religion and the universe, but from a scientific point of view, from a rational point of view, as much as he can understand, obviously. And the word that everyone uses, which I again had to Google, metaphysical, is like, you just don't know the answer to. We assume that there is something, but we just, no one knows. Start the universe. Oh no. So he said, tidy your own bloody bedroom, which basically, well, my interpretation, sort your own shit out first, which I've been trying to do before going out, going, oh, you should do that, you should do this. Not my place to say. But in amongst, you know, this chap saying, yeah, everyone's really angry, we must, in my opinion, everybody celebrate our individual sovereignty. Take responsibility for ourselves. We have a choice to get up and do whatever every single day. Now, there is the reality of living, of course there is, but you choose what you want from your life. how you want to live it, and when you start investigating these things, you'll find the things and discover what leads to this underlying joy, rather than just the short-term happy handbag. And you know, and I did it because the job that I had was pressured and it was not as fulfilling, maybe, in retrospect, was not as fulfilling as the life that I have now. And so it's like, oh, it's the weekend, yeah, get on it, go buy bags, go buy shoes, oh, new makeup. I mean, I still kind of like those things, but I'm much more, it's that I buy them because I need them, in terms of, oh, I've run out of lippy and I'd like a new one, rather than like, oh, I just need to make myself feel better. So this video, in the context of, gosh, everyone seems really angry, but yet we should still have some beacons of light. God, it is, it's beautiful this morning. The light hits good. I'm not shying away from social, not in terms of YouTube, because this content is there for whomever is interested. Facebook, yeah, I've not worked you out yet. I'm just not comfortable, apart from in a work context, which again is a bit of a quandary, because it's a platform where I have to use it at the moment. I think for my business, for my work, but anything I'm posting on there is not political, it's not without ego, it's literally, here's a gallery of the things that I could do for you. So this sits on YouTube, but I felt responsibility when this guy had stood up very honestly, shared his story. A lot of what had resonated with me as well. Knives struggle. Jordan Peterson will say, you don't have to scratch very far when you speak to anyone to find that we've all got, there's all stuff going on. It's inevitable. People get ill, people die, and it's how we deal with that stuff that enables us to maintain this underlying peace and joy in a life that is fundamentally could be perceived as sad and tragic. And when you accept that, then every day then can become day at a time, love and life. So I feel like there's an outlet that comes from a good place, without anger, without, unless I'm in the ring, it's no one's place to judge me. And why would, anyway, look, I thought things that I've learned would be useful. And if there was, in amongst all of this chaos, seemingly, where do you start? Tidy your room. Start there. Do I make my bed every morning? No, I don't. But I fill my cup. I go for a walk, still, without dog. I meet my friend every day. Even in the wind and rain, I've got waterproof stuff. I fill my cup first. I take care of my needs. I go for a walk. I meet my friend. I pat her dogs. Been doing a yoga practice every day for, nearly 2 years. Have a coffee, have a bath. Have a little looky on social before I plan what I know the things that I have to do, but before I check my phone, fresh air, nature, yoga, my sense of self, fill my cup. If you've got an empty cup, you've got nothing to pour to anyone else. So whether it's making your bed or going for your walk, I think the interpretation of tidy your own bedroom is get your own stuff together first. But once you start doing that, then there are all sorts of ways that you can. We all have potential. Anyway, I've chatted for long enough. 20 minutes. Well, look, that was a little. It's nice to be back. It's not. God, I don't know if the lighting is very good. It feels nice. I can feel the heat on my face. It's lovely. But I do have cakes. The reality of life is that I'm going to go and do some decorating. But creatively, I feel in a much better place to do that now because I just feel pretty darn joyful. It's nice to be back in the bathroom where I do my best thinking. And if this is a little ray of light for you, well then good. And if it's not, well, switch on to the next. Go watch some Jordan Peterson videos. He is incredibly thought-provoking. So that's it. Gonna go and do some cakes now, my loves. Mwah.